It's a bummer. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our webinar. Oh, we got a Q&A. Okay, good. You're in. Thanks, Beth. I appreciate that. Welcome to our Everything ASF Walk webinar. I'm Kitty Murphy. I'm your Special Events Director for the ASF, and I'm going to do my best to share my screen and get through this because the Zoom webinars is a new thing for me. So let me share my screen here. How come it's not sharing? There we go. We good to go there? Can you see that okay, Amanda?
Yep, sure can.
All righty. I got to move the chat bar up. I'm going to keep the chat bar where I can see it. I want to welcome everybody. Thanks for taking your time out tonight to be with us, to learn more about the ASF Walk. We have all kinds of people on this call tonight. So there's going to be some that have been coordinators before. We've invited some people that are really interested in volunteering, but kind of want to learn all the different aspects of the walk. And then we also have some people that are interested in hosting a walk. We've got some new coordinators that maybe came on late last year and really haven't had a chance to go through a webinar like this. So I've invited quite a few people and want to welcome you all. Everyone is muted right now, except for our illustrious leader, who you're going to hear from in a second. You're muted now. However, at the end, I want you to feel free to raise your hand at any time, put a question in the chat box. I already put some stuff in the chat box. I'm going to do my best to keep an eye on that chat box and address questions as we go. But if you stay with me to the end, not only are we going to have a question and answer time and an open mic time, but also have a fun contest. So 3 people are going to actually win something tonight. So stick with me to the end. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and the Q&A time is a lot of fun. Finally, tonight's webinar is recorded, so taking notes is always recommended, but don't worry, I got you. I am going to start us off with a quick poll. But as you're answering it, I'm going to turn it over to Amanda Moore and let her welcome everyone here tonight. So bear with me if I can do this poll thing. All righty. Can you see the poll? Oh, no, got to launch it. There we go.
Yep.
So I want to know who is here tonight. So answer number 1, that if you just want to learn more about becoming an ASF Walk coordinator. 2, you're already a coordinator, but you want to learn how to improve and help others. Or 3, you want to learn as much as you can so that you can be a better volunteer at the next walk. Okay, while you're answering that, Amanda is here, our illustrious CEO, who I love dearly. And thank you for being on with us here tonight. I know you wanted to welcome people.
Yeah, I just, can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Yeah? Okay, good. Well, I just want to thank everyone for being on tonight, even if you're just on to learn and just curious about what it means to be a walk coordinator. I just thank you so much for taking your time. I know a lot of you are in the middle of dinner, bedtime, homework, and all that fun stuff. So thank you for taking the time. Being a walk coordinator is something that's really, it's a lot of work, but it means so much, and there's just a lot of purpose behind it. I was a walk coordinator when I first came into this community a long time ago, and it was definitely one of the best things that I've done in bringing the community together for a day to raise awareness and raise funds is always something that is incredibly important to the foundation, but incredibly important to our community because being together is so important. So we're here for you. Kitty is an amazing walk coordinator, a walk director. She will walk you through every step. If you have any questions, any hesitations, anything, feel free to reach out to me. I'm more than happy to answer questions for you as well. But I just wanted to let each one of you know how incredibly grateful I am that you're even on the call tonight to learn more about this. And we love you all so much. So thank you for being here. And I won't take too much more time, Kitty, because I know you have a lot to go over.
Yep, and I'm going to go over it quickly, but thank you, Amanda. Hey, before you go, I'm going to share the results. Maybe you can let me know if it's showing. Do you guys see who's up there? So it looks like we're pretty well split. We've got 47%. Can you see that, Amanda, by the way?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Yep. Sure can.
47% of you want to learn more about being a walk coordinator. So that's awesome, because we also have 13% of people that are coordinators on here. So I can answer questions, and so can they. Please utilize the chat box. And then we have 47% of you are here because you want to be a volunteer, and welcome. There's a lot of aspects to an ASF walk. There's a lot of things our coordinators do. So I think it's awesome that you're here, and that you want to learn more, because it'll only help you be the best volunteer you can for your coordinator. And I'm sure Amanda will agree with me. Coordinators really need good volunteers and good leaders behind them to really pull off a great walk. So thank you for that. That's interesting. I kind of wanted to know, and I also kind of wanted to figure out how to do the poll thing from the Zoom webinar. So, okay, I am going to just move on. And Amanda, if you decide you want to drop off, that's okay. We love you more than you know. And I'll send you the recording too.
Thank you.
All righty, I'm going to go through these slides fairly quickly so that we can get to the Q&A time. Our walks really have 3 goals. They're very unique, and I don't know of any other organizations that do this, but our 3 goals that we have for our walk is obviously to fundraise. It's our largest fundraiser of the year, and your objective is to meet or exceed your fundraising goals set for your site. Awareness is also almost equally, all 3 of these are very equal in the goals and our objectives and why we do the ASF walk. The awareness is incredible. It aims to increase local awareness, get the community involvement, local community exposure, mailing, social media. It's great for getting the awareness out, because as we're all too familiar, Angelman syndrome is not something the general public is well versed in. So, and then there's the community aspect of it. This is my favorite part because I'm a people person. But the ASF walk is really the only time. It's a unique opportunity where all the families in a certain region or a certain state, or sometimes there's 3 or 4 or 5 of them in a state, walks that is, they get to come together, and they support one another. They come together as a whole family with their individuals with Angelman. They celebrate their individuals with AS, and they support and just pretty much lift up each other. So it's a pretty unique time. And if you've ever been to a walk, hopefully you're shaking your head yes right now. Okay. So if you're thinking about becoming a walk coordinator, here's some of the things you're probably wondering: what does ASF do for you? And then how much do you have to do yourself? ASF pays for the permits for the park. We pay for the park fees. Sometimes we even pay for parking fees. There's a couple of locations across the country that our poor families have to pay to park to attend. So sometimes we'll even reimburse that. That's definitely a possibility. Let's see here. We provide the certificates of insurance up to $2 million. Equipment rentals, I put in parentheses, if necessary, hopefully. And many of them are able to do this. You're able to try with some help from your volunteers to get a lot of it donated. Drinks like water or coffee or whatever. If you cannot, no matter how hard you try, and after COVID, it was kind of tough because, you know, a lot of the businesses were hurting too, and really had a tough time. They wanted to donate, but they couldn't. But, you know, if your team has tried and you need drinks, the ASF will support you and take care of that too. I oversee all the walk shirts nationwide and get them shipped out to you guys. The swag, if we have any, which we usually do have at least one thing in swag, I get that ordered and out to you. And I work with the coordinators to get all the signage and supplies. So when we had the virtual walks for 2 years, thank you, COVID, the shirts were mailed to everyone's house. But now that we're back in person, they get shipped to the walk site and people pick them up there. I'm always working to improve this one. Never want to order too many shirts. It would really be awesome if we could When people register, if we could ship the shirts directly to their house. The only reason we don't right now is it's incredibly expensive, and we try to be, as you're going to see as I go along, just as cost effective as we can with the donated money from our families. You know, it's hard-earned money. So right now, our walks are back in person, and the shirts are at the actual walk site, except for the virtual walks. Someone signs up for a virtual walk, we do mail that. I will keep an eye on the questions. So if you have questions, go ahead and put them in the chat box. The ASF also, we put together your website, your landing site. I record webinars for each one of the teams I'm going to go over. We have team job descriptions that the coordinators do have them, and hopefully they give them to the volunteers that sign up and the team leaders. I do send out regular emails to the coordinators, and many times they'll add other people on their team. Some of their key leaders will end up getting our regular emails as well. That's always a possibility. We have a superhero Facebook group. It's a closed group on Facebook that is primarily all walk coordinators, and they help each other out and they ask questions, and sometimes we have contests there. Sometimes coordinators will ask that some of their leaders be in on that, and that's also definitely a thing, but it is a closed group. We do the web page for your local walk, target emails, and contests. So it's the coordinators only, however, as far as the web page or the web pages and the website for registration. Coordinators are the only ones that have access to the back end of the registration, meaning that they have access to go in and pull reports for everyone who's registered for their walk at their location. They can either get this information for their volunteers, or they can turn over the ability to one of their key leaders. Like I mentioned, coordinators receive the webinar links for every aspect and every team. They're responsible for getting those to your volunteer team. So as I go through, you're going to see a webinar is recorded and sent out. A webinar is recorded. So if you're a volunteer, feel free to nudge your coordinators for a webinar that is for your specific team that you end up signing up for. Hope that makes sense. Let's see here. The Facebook, like I said, that is geared 100% to coordinators, but we do have some key leaders in there. The ASF does we do send out national or even local targeted emails. I have the ability to send out targeted emails to everyone that's registered, or possibly everyone that's ever registered for your walk. You do is ask. You can send me what you wanted to say. We can send it out on your behalf to all our contacts in your state. A lot of the coordinators also set up a separate mailbox or separate email address. Yeah, an email box. And they'll reach out, or they'll have someone on their team, like their publicity person, reach out when people register to welcome them, to invite them to follow the Facebook page. And then they also send out regular emails or communicate that way, because you do have access to the emails once people register. We do have contests, the ASF, to increase registration or fundraising, but coordinators have also been known to use their Facebook pages because you have a site Facebook page for each walk. Every walk has a local Facebook page that is open to everyone that registers. And I've seen coordinators get real creative and do fun ways to get their community involved, and do contests with maybe some of the donated items. They'll do a contest and give it away. Be happy to give you more information on that or help you with that. I'm going to go over quickly our approved site expenses. The ASF support to all the walk sites is equal across the board. I work very hard to make all the coordinators successful. Last year we had 50 walk sites that I recruit, train, and kind of oversee. But all the walk sites, even though my support is equal, the sizes vary. So all the walk sites vary budgetarily. The size, the permits, the park fees, the sign needs, the shirt needs, all of it varies based on how many people, the location, whether it's rural or whatever. So the ASF does provide a fair amount of budget money for all the walk sites, But as you're going to see, or as coordinators will attest to, there's very little extra budget money for the coordinators to spend outside of the parameters, as you can see. I do help, and I've got a lot of creative ideas for ways to get things paid for at your events, but it may not necessarily be a budgeted thing that we can give you money to do. And I can explain that more for any coordinators. Like I mentioned, the main driving point behind this is we try to use as little of donated dollars to, we'd rather funnel it to research or to family support than to the actual event. So here's our unreimbursed expenses. Some of them make sense. They're kind of expected. A few might have you scratching your heads, such as like the food or the DJ sound or the bounce houses, and I can explain them. If a coordinator ever has trouble securing things like the food or the DJ, I work with them. So don't, please, if you're a coordinator, don't ever stress, or a team leader, don't ever stress out about those. If you've tried to get them and you can't, just call me. I've got things we can work together to try to make it happen. If we can't get a DJ, I think we usually can get it, at least the sound equipment and the drinks covered. But if you can't get them covered by donations, just know that I'm here for you. Some of you may be like, why not helium? I see a lot of the, the balloon arches. I can give you lots of YouTube ways to do those without using helium, but helium is extremely expensive. It's gone like through the roof. So we don't reimburse for helium anymore. The other one that you might, well, obviously we don't reimburse for alcohol or tobacco, but you might be wondering, you might have seen bounce houses or equipment like that. ASF, not only do we not reimburse for especially the enclosed bounce houses, we can't insure that. The insurance company, even though we do have a $2 million fee, they don't cover bounce houses. So I don't really recommend, if you have like a bounce house or an inflatable place that's willing to donate, an open aired one would be better, like the slides or what are they, the obstacle courses are the ones I would recommend rather than the enclosed ones. For insurance purposes, for safety reasons, plus, I think the other ones are just, they're much better received, and it's easier to not control, but make sure your kids are safe. Okay, now I'm going to quickly go through the suggested team breakdown. The teams I'm going over are just suggestions for the coordinators. So if you're thinking about being a coordinator, just know this is not the law. It's just suggestions, trying to make coordinators' jobs as easy as possible. It's a big job, so if we can get leaders in different areas, that will alleviate so that a coordinator can lead rather than doing all the work themselves. It's also going to be good for those of you that are here with an interest in volunteering as I go through, because you'll understand what all the teams do and what's expected of them. Let's see here. Oh, the other thing is, you if you're here because you want to volunteer, don't tune out when there's a team that you're not interested in. You might think of people as I go through these in your daily life that would be a great fit somewhere on one of these teams. For instance, let's say you might be only interested in being on the publicity team. That's all you want to do. But you might know someone with influence in a company that might, a corporation that might make a good sponsor, or you might know a DJ or a restaurant owner or a store manager that might be able to get involved. So as I go over them, just as I go over these, think about them, keep your mind open to people and businesses that you know that might be helpful for the event. Melissa asked, are all of the walks during the same across the country? I think I know what you're trying to say there. We hold all the walks on the third Saturday of May every year. Some of them end up being the third Sunday. Sometimes we have some coordinators that have to do them on a Sunday. I've already got one coordinator who's going to have to do it the following week due to her own schedule. But yes, we do them all on the same day, and it's for budgetary reasons, because we buy the shirts in bulk, we buy the signs in bulk. So that is the reason. Another anonymous attendee says, it's a very good question. Do the walks have to be outside? No, they do not. I always have my coordinators back. So and actually I've had someone else ask me that, and this past year, there was one indoors, Colorado, I don't know if you're even in the house, but they ended up having it indoors and the families loved it. So no, they don't have to be outside. We like them to be outside because it does, help get the community involved, but I really work with the coordinators to try to help them. Let's see, that was all in the Q&A. Is there chats that I'm missing too? No, okay, sorry about that. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. Okay. It's hard because I don't have someone else keeping an eye on the questions. All right, so I'm going to start off with the publicity team. Now, ASF does a lot to publicize the ASF Walk nationally through social media with all of our contacts and emails. The publicity team, they're the ones that get the word out locally and in the community. As you see, it's really only 1 to 2 people. The publicity team may be someone that helps the coordinator with the messages and social posts on your Facebook Walk page. I can always make someone other than the coordinator, or in addition to the coordinator, an admin on your Facebook page. The team helps distribute flyers, press releases. I get the word out with local businesses and local organizations. There might be a local newspaper or local media that you might want to do a press release for. ASF Family is ideal for this job. The reason being is it's not a huge job. It's something they can do in their spare time, but an AS Family can also add their own story to it. They have their own personal story, and it really touches people more deeply. You'll get the press out there to pay attention and maybe cover it or do a story when there is a personal story or something personal involved. Keeping an eye on the questions. Okay, this is what the ASF publicly support, or how the ASF supports you guys. All right. The ASF will give you the editable. I have a press release that's already drawn up for you to edit and make your very own. We have recorded radio spots if you want to get some PSAs, the public service announcements out. We have logos. We have a logo usage guide. We've got flyers and brochures, interview tips. We have a lot of graphics for social media. We have admin access. We have a Facebook Walk. Why did I put Facebook Walk group? We have a toolbox that is on the Walk page that is for the coordinators, and coordinators are absolutely welcome to give the passwords or give access to their team members. But everything that I send out to a coordinator or email out is also available. All the forms that we've mail out or email out are available electronically in the toolbox on the website. Feel free to reach out to me if you need to know more about that or get access to it. All right. Oh, the other thing I do is a webinar. This year, the publicity team webinar has always been a tough one to have, but I'm thinking I might possibly do this one live with your publicity teams and any coordinators that want to be on it. I think an interactive one might be better. So stay tuned as far as that one goes. But either way, there will be a webinar on publicity. The finance team. This team probably only needs to gather once before the walk. So, and ideally the time that they gather as a team would be the week before the walk. That is even when they can watch the webinar. I do a finance team webinar. If the finance team can get together, watch it together, look at all the forms that I do send out to everybody, and just familiarize themselves with the written procedures and the forms. That's really what this team needs to do. Their entire job really happens on walk day. This is a team that's a little harder to recruit for because, and you're not going to like this, but we really don't want Angelman families to be on the finance team. The reason being not that we don't trust you, not at all, but we don't want you to miss the walk. And the finance team, they are busy doing their work while all the things are happening out there. And we don't want our AS families and we don't want our coordinators to miss out on that. We definitely don't want our coordinators to head up the finance team either. And that is to keep you guys safe from anybody. There's always someone out there that will try to smear, or, you know, they might cast some doubt, and we want to keep our coordinators above reproach. So, and I'll tell you a good group of people or good ways to try to recruit this team, because it's, you know, like I mentioned, if this group gets together the week before the walk to review the webinar and the forms, you're good to go. The finance team could even use this slide, which I will be sending out to everyone as their meeting agenda, because literally this is what they need to know before walk day. Keeping an eye on these questions, guys. Let me see if I can. What's disabled? Is the chat disabled? I'll have to look on that. Okay, good. Someone just came in, interested in starting a walk in your hometown. Great. Make sure we connect after this webinar. All right, back to the sponsorship team. This is a team that I am noticing far too many coordinators take on themselves. It might be hard to find a willing leader or the perfect person, but it really is worth the effort to try to find someone or two people. And I'll tell you why. I'm thinking two might be good to head this up. An AS family is great. Someone with connections. You really need someone with connections. As far as corporate or financial sponsorships, a leader for corporate sponsor would be like a business owner or an executive or someone just with a lot of business connections would be the perfect person to head that part of the sponsorship team up. A local Angelman family, someone very close to where the walk is going to be held. AS family member or relative makes a great leader for the in-kind donations, the non-monetary ones, like the raffle prizes and the food and the equipment and the tents and things like that. A local AS family member is ideal to lead that for the raffles and things like that. So coordinators, you may want to have two people that kind of lead up your sponsorship team, one to do the corporate and one to do the, I call them in-kind because it's when they donate things rather than money to help out with the walk. Both donations are fully tax deductible. We have the right forms for them, and I give a good webinar on that, on how to train for how you do those. So ideally, two people, one to do corporate, one to do the in-kind, and then maybe if they can each recruit a friend, it's always better to have two people, especially if you're asking in person. It's good to go in pairs. Okay. This is how we support the sponsorship teams. We give you a recorded webinar. I have the prior sponsors, so people that have sponsored in the past. I've started collecting all of them, and I've got them organized by location, so I'm happy to give that to you guys. I usually give it to the coordinators and ask them to give it to you, but just know that there is a prior year sponsor list. We have a real nice sponsor forms. This one's got writing on it, but we have real nice, oh, I can't see it, sponsor forms. They're available electronically, and I mail them out that are good for the corporate sponsors. We have tax exempt forms, and then I also have the donation in kind forms, which I talk about in the webinar. And they're carbonless. So you can fill it out and leave one with the business owner. We give you editable request letters. So we give you the sample letters that you can make your own. Brochures, letterhead, and envelopes all get sent out. Coordinators get them. Hopefully they're giving them to their sponsor teams to hit the ground and get out there and make some asks for us. Oh, I say I have notes to myself. The other thing is all these things that actually get mailed out are also available in the toolbox. We have them online editable forms available, as well as the actual forms. Okay, the refreshment team. This is the team that they're going to work closely with your sponsor person that is getting the donations in kind. Possibly someone that might want to work on both. So the sponsor person for the donation in kinds will probably want to assist with the refreshment team, at least find out their needs so they know how to make the asks. They definitely work together, so each knows the other needs. Definitely have to work with the sponsorship team so that we don't have people from 2 or 3 different teams going into the same business. It just makes us look unprofessional. So definitely make sure you communicate well. If you're on the refreshment team, communicate well with your sponsor person. They love hospitality. They know the value of sharing a meal. And they're the ones that just get the food and the drink. I shouldn't say just, because it's a big amount. Some of our walks only have like coffee and donuts in the morning. They do the walk. Some walks do potluck, so that you don't have to worry about getting the food. Other walks will do, coffee, donuts, and other things in the morning, and then end everything with a nice lunch. I've known walk coordinators that get an entire lunch sponsored by someone, by a business. There's ways to get that. Definitely not necessary, and we definitely leave all of that up to the coordinator in conjunction working with their refreshment team on what you want to provide for walk day. Keeping an eye on the chats. Okay. What I provide, or how I support the refreshment teams, is the recorded webinar. I also have the prior sponsor list. If the donation in kind forms were turned into us, which they do need to be because we send out tax letters, I have it written down and I can provide that list. We give you the forms, obviously, the request letters, the brochures, the letterhead, and the envelopes. We've only been tracking the donation in kind donors for the past few years. Like I mentioned, not all the coordinators turn them in, but we really need them. It's a work in progress, but I'll definitely be hands-on in helping you guys with that. The registration team. This team, they're the ones that get people checked in, give them their shirts and swags, get everything distributed. It seems really easy. This is a team that can get very complicated, and I'm going to try to explain why. This team leader needs to work pretty closely with the coordinator. The team leader or one other member of this team is going to have several hours of like administrative work before walk day. Much of this registration team, their main job will be on walk day. There does need to be a key person that is willing to do some admin work, pull reports. That one key person on the registration team needs to know how to work in Excel, manipulate Excel program, because that's how our reports come over. They'll either need, the team leader for this will either need the admin access to pull the reports from our website for everyone that's registered for your walk, or the coordinator will need to pull them for them and get them to them. This whole team should plan a meeting together the week before the walk. That meeting is when they organize the shirts and any swag. They go over the procedures together. Would like the walk coordinator to be at this meeting as well, because the walk coordinator really needs to give as much information as possible to this registration team. As much information as far as everything that's going to be happening on walk day. because this is the team that people go to with the most questions. When they get registered, they'll have a lot of questions. So the better you prep this team, the better the experience will be. And we really would like their first experience as they're walking up, their first impression to be a great one. They want, we need people that are happy and, really can get people through and make it as easy as possible. AS families are perfect for this task, for being on the registration team. Reason being is the one person or two people can do a lot of the pre-work in Excel and organizing. But then the day of, to have Angelman families, they end up knowing each other. They can help, process people, get them registered, and then their job is pretty much over and they can enjoy the walk. So definitely recommend AS families to be on this team. The team size varies depending on the size of your walk. If you have hundreds and hundreds of people signed up, you're going to want to have a really well-staffed registration team to get people moved in and get them through. Okay. I definitely do a registration webinar. We give a responsibility checklist, written procedures for registration, suggested ones. Everyone's got their own idea, but these ones have been tried and true and they do work. So I give sample ASF Walk Day registration and execution plan, mail out tally sheets, signage, all the supplies, and the payment processing tools. I'm going to explain a little bit why this is a team that can, it seems like it would be really easy, but it can get a little things you have to think about. Creating an organized flow through registration is really going to be this team's main mission. Some people are going to arrive, they're going to be registered, they registered on time, they're guaranteed a shirt and they're guaranteed swag. That's easy. They go right through, they're on the list. Some people registered late and therefore they're not guaranteed a shirt. So they'll need to be processed just a little bit differently. We will have extra shirts for them to be able to purchase. Some people are going to arrive to register that day. Many people do. They're going to need to pay for their team and their family. So they have a little bit of a different process. Some people are going to arrive, think that they're registered and they're not. There won't be a record. Some people will think they registered before the deadline and that they're guaranteed a shirt, but the reports are going to show differently. So there's a lot of variables that happen at registration. And all of them are reasons the team needs to be as organized as possible and as happy and welcoming as possible. They have to handle these situations and make a great first impression. So sounds like a really easy team, but it ends up being a little more complicated than a lot of people think. Okay, we're almost through all of this, guys. Coordinators and volunteers need to work together to help identify quality team members. So, as you're building your team, really communicate a lot. The average person knows 300 people on a friendly level. So here's some suggestions to get your teams built up. A finance team, if you know someone at a local bank, even a teller, someone friendly, a bookkeeper, a treasurer, an accountant, someone who's a cashier in a store, they make great people to be on the finance team. I've had, who was it? One of our states had an entire, wasn't Kiwanis, I think it was the Rotary Club, wanted to volunteer, and a Rotary Club came out and they were the finance team for the day. Ideal, because then our families got to enjoy the day. Sponsorship team, local business owners, executives, local AS families with connections. Refreshment team, be looking for a local Angelman family. Restaurant owner. I've seen church groups come out and do a phenomenal job being on the refreshments team. I've seen, entire Kiwanis or Rotary organizations come out and, sometimes like I've seen the Kiwanis, they'll come out with the hot dogs and everything and grill them and serve them. So booster parents, school, those are all ideal type people to ask to join your teams. People are really waiting to be asked too. So publicity team, really just want someone who's a good communicator. Like I said, an AS family is ideal. especially if they're willing to share their story and talk to the media. Registration, we need some happy people. So greeters from a local nonprofit, they're ideal. Church, Kiwanis, Rotary, or our AS families are perfect for the registration team. Raffle team, if your walk has a raffle, which most of them do, a local AS family with connections is perfect. They pair well. So the raffle team usually ends up being, they work close with the sponsor team, but it usually ends up being 1 or 2 person. So someone with connections and who doesn't mind asking, and then someone who's creative, who can like take all these, you know, different things that get donated and put them together and make them eye appealing and figure out an organized way to run the raffle. Like I said, raffle team, it wasn't a team I went over because it's kind of a part of the sponsorship team, but not really. And it might be just 1 or 2 people. And a lot of times the coordinators have a very active role on that team. Okay, so if you're a volunteer on a team, you may need to nudge your team leader or your coordinator in any one of these areas. Perhaps you want a team meeting and you haven't seen your job description. Every single team has a job description. There's a walk timeline that I put together so everyone knows what should be done by what time. Be willing to make those requests of your coordinators or offer your help in making it happen. Just remember, our coordinators are so many times, you know, AS parents with families. They have jobs on top of it, and they're trying to coordinate the walk. So the volunteers that step up, be kind and really just support your coordinators in making it happen, because it's really a great event. So here, yeah, this is all the things that equal success. Regular meetings, plan of action, read your job descriptions, clear expectations, empower those teams so the coordinators aren't doing all the tasks, communicate with each other regularly, make sure everyone is watching the webinars and discussing, because the webinars, not because I want you to see me, but because they really do have some great ideas and suggestions. Follow the walk timeline. I get those out to the coordinators fairly early. I'm already working on next year's walk timeline. So get a copy of it and then maybe add your team's dates and stuff into the timeline. That's pretty much it. So basically, hopefully you're not overwhelmed, because once you break it up into little pieces, it really can be a cool thing. ASF, the AS walks, they take a lot of work, but they're also incredibly rewarding. They're rewarding on walk day for everyone that is involved in the planning. They're rewarding on walk day for everyone that comes and is given this great event. And it's a unique, I don't know, culmination of fundraising mixed with like a reunion of families and a celebration mixed with families that support one another and help one another with their journey with Angelman syndrome. So the ASF walks are awesome, and we need coordinators. We need coordinators, and the coordinators need dedicated volunteers. So I'm so glad that 47% of the people on this webinar call tonight are interested in becoming a volunteer, because you know better all the things that your coordinator needs to get done. I hope tonight's been informative. I hope it's ignited something inside each of you. I hope it's getting your creative juices going. And I do hope that ASF is an organization where you want to make your impact. ASF Walk is a perfect place to get started. I'm here to answer any questions, help you get plugged in. I'm going to get my contact information out at the very end of this. I'm going to open it up to questions and answers. Hopefully I can figure out how to enable everyone's mic and everything. So do I have a comprehensive guide for new coordinators to execute a walk from start to finish? I have a guide that's broken up into separate pieces. I have another guide that I'm working on. So yes, I do. A lot of it ends up being the guide on top of a meeting with me, or a phone call where we can answer questions and just really help walk it through. The walks are all very different, so it's hard to have one guide that everyone follows bit by bit. I do have a guide. It's not comprehensive. When I first came on board, Charles, we had a comprehensive guide, and it was literally this thick, and I didn't even want to read it. I couldn't imagine a volunteer wanting to pour through that. So I do have a guide, yes. Is there a list of all the walk locations so we can find one near us? Melissa, yes, absolutely. I'm putting together, I'm recruiting our leaders already, and our team, our coordinators for next year. Ideally, we'll have one in every single state. Some of our, depending on where you're from, there's many states. The shirts are free when you register. If you register on time, shirts are free. A shirt comes with it. If you register late, you might have to pay $5–10 the day of the walk to get your shirt. When do people usually start making reservations? Believe it or not, I try, if it's possible, to get parks reserved now, which a few of my coordinators already have. Now's the time to try to reserve parks and get that under your belt, because the closer we get to the holidays, that's when, everybody just kind of like takes a break from the walk and enjoys their family and Thanksgiving